it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 23rd of November to the 30th of November. It's the end of November, so this is the last day, at least as recording this. It's done by the time it comes out. But Novid month is over, and I'm sure Pause is going to go over has the whole actual list. I happened to come across a number of the videos that have been aired. Most of them came out this week. Makes sense, because the last week, you get to the deadline kind of deal. I'm not really going to cover most of them because I want to try to make my own Novid video. I'm going to wait for Joe to make that video with him going over them. And then he'll have like the whole list that I can just take from his and probably do my own separate video on it. At least that's what I would like to do, because I love this idea, obviously. So I'm gonna but there's already two videos in here that I wanted to talk about kind of separate from Novid, but the rest of them, I tried to hold off on reviewing those, because then it'd be nothing but those videos, you know what I mean? But there's no videos this week that I thought were not good, at least that I watched. Again, I've grown more and more weary of watching things that piss me off. So unless a video like interested me and like the result of it ended up pissing me off, right? Oh well. So we're gonna start instead with a request video. If you don't know, on my Patreon you can request a video from any period of time. Doesn't have to come out this week. This video came out 2 years ago, and so you can become a patron at a certain tier and request a video at least one a month. So we got one from Najbeb wanting me to review Satsuki The Savage's classic Love Live, ranking the strength of the Muse. I believe that's the Roman numeral for Muse. I have not seen Love Live. I'm looking forward to getting around to it, but this is more of a kind of a tongue-in-cheek, kind of not so serious video. But he took it seriously because it's like, that's you play along, right? You do the bit. And this is literally ranking the physical strength, not like the hypothetical power, but literally like how strong are these Love Live characters from the original series. I think there's 9 of them, and ranks them 9th to first. And it's funny. It's I don't have much to say about it because it doesn't. I haven't seen Love Live and whatever. But I think what was really standing out to me really is that he really had a dedication to the bit and actually cited examples and scenes from the series as evidence. And I get like that's probably the classic shonen playbook. If people make these kind of characters, who's the strongest Bleach character kind of deal, they would cite one specific, they would cherry pick an example and be like, because he did this, you know what I mean? So I think Satsuki's kind of tapping into that idea and kind of skewering it with Love Live, which is not necessarily about strength. But you get to learn a lot more about Love Live and kind of the feeling of watching it, I guess. I feel like it wasn't bogged down by this is what Love Live's about kind of deal. It felt like from someone who had seen it and enjoyed it, and not like trying to get it, or I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I think Satsuki has a good presence on camera. I don't know how often. I don't watch much of his content, but at least in this video, I think he has a really good presence on camera. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing to take too seriously, of course, but I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was a comfortable watch. Thank you for recommending it. I'm sorry I don't have really much else to say about it besides describing it. I like that he put like at the title, like introducing each character, gives them their name, their birthday, and like their height and stuff like that. Like the kind of their basic bio information. And it doesn't delve so much in each of the girls' personalities. They seem to all bleed together pretty succinctly. They all seem to be. None of them really stick out to me as characters besides Nico, but I guess that's because it's the one I've heard about the most. But yeah, like that's the thing that I always notice about Love Live specifically it's like all the characters kind of look the same, and it's hard to to associate and differentiate with each character. Um, but that's not a big deal. It's not a not a turnoff or anything. I liked Revius, and that has that particular character designer has kind of the same face template for all the characters, and it's even worse in like his other series, like Seed or fucking Fafnir. They all, it's like those are the same. Are they twins? Not like Love Live specifically has that, but that's always what kind of comes off to me about it. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but I guess I'm bringing it up to be like I was able to sort of differentiate the characters, with Satsuki's descriptions and bios at the beginning. That was appreciated. I get it's not supposed to be taken seriously or anything like that, but I enjoyed it. Thank you for recommending it. So let's go into the videos that I thought were decent. Pretty decent. I always botch this one. I always botch the intro. It's just the decent, just nice. I'm going to start with the two Novid videos that I am going to talk about for specific reasons, I guess. There were at least reasons that I was like, give reasons to have besides, oh, they talked about this series I hadn't heard of kind of deal. And they're very vain reasons, to be honest with you, but whatever. The first one's from Funebure, new one from him, To Slice of Life. And, I don't really, the title is interesting. It's a little evocative, but it's also like, what does that mean? And I don't know if it's as clear in this video. It reminded me a lot of his hentai video, or no, I'm sorry, his horror video, where he's kind of describing the navigation of a genre and lossing into this soup sort of deal. And he is talking about slice of life more generally. I think this had a lot less of a focus, and I feel like he could have focused a lot more on his Novid video of choice, and that's why I'm kind of mentioning it instead of saving it for later, because it doesn't seem so much of that same idea. So like Novid is about taking an anime or manga that doesn't have a video essay on YouTube, or very rarely has a very, very, very rare, and making a video on it. And Funiburi mentions one specifically, and I think he mentions another one, but it was something about a familial thing, but he said Eraserhead, and I guess it was a joke. I kind of, all right. But like he mentions it for like 20 seconds, and then the rest of the video is kind of rambling about other stuff. I always enjoy his vibes and his aesthetic with this. There's a lot of David Lynch influence on this one specifically, with the Twin Peaks kind of room. I haven't seen much of Twin Peaks, but that sort of room sort of thing, and obviously mentioning Eraserhead. But I kind of like the format you had with this one. It was kept to a 4:3 aspect ratio, and had like this like sound wave kind of go roving through the whole thing, and there was a lot of stuff going on. It's a very typical video of his, and that's not, I don't know if that sounds like a bad thing, right? And that it's good. I like it. It just didn't have as much of a driving like specific narrative focus, or as intense of a energy or vibe as some of his other videos that are as equally unfocused. There is some videos in retrospect where it's like, yeah, what was that video about? I don't remember. But it's less with him. It's less about making a point, I think, and more about giving a feeling or an aesthetic. And it was interesting that he was talking about slice of life while maintaining this very creepy horror vibe that he has, while talking about stuff that's relatively not like that. And he was kind of trying to do both and have like give you that vibe of a slice of life while maintaining his same aesthetics. Two interesting results. I thought it was all right, but I definitely wasn't as focused in and able to bring myself to pay as much attention to this one, because it didn't have as much of a point. It was more rambly, like, I don't know where you're going with this sort of deal. That's not a bad thing. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was less of so it's like less of a Novid video, and the one you do mention, the slice of life you do mention, is like 11 minutes. It's really interesting looking. I was like, oh fuck, what's this? I would have loved to hear more about that, and maybe it didn't like fit into your aesthetic as much, so you just wanted to move on from it quickly, I guess. But it was really interesting and a really crazy, weird art style. I would have loved to hear more about it. Oh well. But yeah, I still enjoyed it, of course, because your videos still have a really great polish to them, and they're really enjoyable. And the other Novid video is more of an actual Novid video, talking about Best Blue, the Heart of Swimming by the channel is Senshi Nicolas, but he has another channel that, let me just get the right name for it. But he's a frequent commenter on Digest and elsewhere. I see him around a lot, and I didn't know he made videos. But he uploaded this onto a new channel, which only has 3 subscribers. Like, very few people know it. So it's like, hey, this guy's a thing. I think it's because the channel that he is frequent on and has like 3,000 subscribers, I think, is just Spanish speaking. And then this one it's full English. He's speaking in English, and you would not be able to tell. You would not be able to tell it's like his second language or something, or that was the case. I think the English is great here. But he talks about Best Blue, and what I really wanted to mention this instead of like waiting for waiting for that was he mentioned in a comment in Digest and kind of was like, I don't know, I wouldn't say I was the inspiration to make the video or anything like that, but like, I don't know, I it was part of me encouraging him, I would like to think. But I'm at, if it was in any small way that I did that, I appreciate that, and I wanted to respond to it by talking about it in Digest, I guess. But the video itself, no, I really actually liked it. It's a very standard review of Best Blue, which I guess ran in Shonen Jump, I think, and it only went for 21 chapters before it got axed, which is too bad. But it's about competitive swimming. It's a sports series. But I really like Nicholas's perspective personally. Like he actually is a competitive swimmer, at least in school or whatever. And he actually had a lot of pictures and footage of himself doing that, and that was really interesting, and a personal perspective that you really don't get with any other anime YouTuber. A lot of people try to hide themselves, or don't have their face or whatever, and I was one of those people. Not that I was shy necessarily, but it was more like I wanted to be more about the content I was talking about and not about me. But I do regret that long stretch of time when I was making content that I wouldn't put myself into it as much, because that's the cool thing about YouTube. That's really one of the core appeals, is that you're coming to these channels and these videos for the person and not necessarily what they're talking about, whereas I was trying to go the other way around. But I like that Nicholas was bringing in a lot of his personal perspective and a lot of his interests into it and his perspective. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. But I really liked that. And the editing is pretty good too, actually, with some of the transitions are interesting, and the use of kind of stock footage with and I like that it changed up a lot with the different kinds of watery kind of backgrounds and stuff. Even if there wasn't like too much fancy schmancy things going on with it, I thought it really provided a specific aesthetic for the video, very tropical, aquatic, giving the right feeling for it, which I always think is a really important thing for videos that not a lot of people capitalize on. They kind of just like, here's the show, and not necessarily immersing you into that show's world or that series particular, that the vibe basically. And that's through use of music choices and other aesthetics besides the series itself kind of deal. And I think Nicholas did a good job with that. I thought it was actually really good. I really liked that. So great job. It's not much, but I wanted to mention this sort of pilot of sorts, or at least a teaser that Revel House put out, a new 3D cat girl YouTube show, Me Time. And there was a playlist linked at the end for videos, the couple videos, and the first one dates back to 2017. So this is a kind of a long time coming with him, and it's his mascot avatar, at least as of now, as well as this other character that I guess has been recurring in his channel. But I hadn't seen a lot of these characters in his most recent content, at least when I started really paying attention to his channel and watching it. So this was sort of new to me, and I guess it's going to be kind of a mini series of sorts, similar to Oda-chan, and we had kind of this video is a little bit of a Patreon campaign of sorts, and wanted to get it to a certain point to try to produce it. And I guess the first episode will be in January, so I look forward to it. It is interesting. It does low key feel like they're biting off of Oda-chan's stuff, but a lot more economic. Like they're not making an actual anime out of this. It seems more homegrown, like use the assets we have or the things we can afford, basically. And that's cool. I'm totally down with that. But there seems to be a little bit of merch going on with this too, and yeah, they're basically they're trying to do a similar thing, and I welcome it. I'm not trying to be like, oh, they're copying, they're ripping off this whatever. It's not really like that. I think it's just two in a similar space, and as long as it's funny and entertaining, right? It's like cool, more the merrier. From this, I thought it was pretty edgy. With like there's like a dead body or something, or like some weird body that they censor very very heavily. And I guess the original got taken down for. Oh, you know what it must have been? I'm just connecting the dots now. I assumed that the censor thing was because it's gruesome or whatever, but I think they may have cut out a segment, but I remember reading in the comments that they're like, the original version of this video got taken down because we used a asset or some character model without permission, something like that. And that may have been that blurred out character, maybe? I don't know. Not I haven't looked into it myself, but I just kind of go on a video by video basis, try not to get too deep into this stuff. But that's just something to look forward to. I think that was interesting. They have good personalities, the two characters in this, and they bounce off each other decently. But it's like, what is this? Where is this going? What's the direction of this? It's still kind of unclear. But it's still kind of interesting, and so it's indecent because it's very tentative. There's a lot of stuff that's like, all right, I don't really know what the deal with this is going to be yet, but it's something to look forward to, something to keep an eye on. Certainly interesting. And finally, talking about another video from animebackwhen. He's been getting more and more active, which is great to see, because he definitely has a voice and perspective that I enjoy, with a lot of relatively retro stuff, but in a perspective that's very laid back and welcoming, I guess, and not trying to be really aggressive with like retro kind of deal. It's refreshing. This video, Anime Openings Decoded H2, he mostly talks about the song in this OP, and it's actually for a show that he had not, and it makes sense because he can't really, I don't know if he can say too much about the visuals if he doesn't know any of the characters, because he hasn't watched this show, but he was aware of this OP, and I like this perspective, and I think that's a very common feeling a lot of us have, where there's an OP to a show that we haven't seen yet, but we really like that OP because we heard it somewhere or happened to stumble across it, and we listened to that OP for years or something before actually getting to the show. I know it's happened to me several times, and it still happens. I still have certain OPs that I love, like the third OP to Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. I haven't seen Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei yet, but I love that OP, and I really am looking forward to eventually watching it. But I like that perspective, although I do wish there was a little more of that, and more of like leaning into that aesthetic of like not knowing who these characters are and not getting to this show, and this being your introduction to it of sorts, and why would it be on your plan to watch. I do wish he talked about the visuals, even though he does show them. He doesn't really mention them at all. I like the perspective of the band, and learning about them, and some of the lyrics and the feeling it gives you. I really like that insight. I think my biggest criticism of it is just too short. I really like his style, and I think there's what I also was noticing? There was it's hard to discern, and I have not been watching every single upload this guy makes. But a couple months ago, when I was like, when I first had found him and I was watching some of his videos, it was laid back, but it didn't have as much of a confident energy to it. I thought this had a lot more pep and energy, and like, again, chill and like, low stakes, and I like that. It doesn't have to be this big monumental thing, but have some kind of a driving thing. He has a little avatar in the corner that's dancing every so often with a subscribe thing, and it's a small thing, but I like it. And there's an energy to this. I think he had more of a dedication of sorts, instead of just like, I felt like making a video sort of deal. I like that, but my problem is it's not much of a problem. I guess it's what he does, because like pretty much all of his videos are very short. This one's only 2 minutes, but I wish it was like 5, because like you could have talked about the visuals and you'd still be succinct. You can still be short. Like, yeah, there's a couple ones that are much longer. His Apare Ranman video is in 12 minutes territory. But there's a ton of his videos that are like 2 to 5 minutes. And that's good. I like the brevity. I appreciate the brevity. But I just think for this particular instance, I was just like I was left with wanting more, I guess. Which is, what it be. But I like this one. This is like this is sort of a stronger direction for him. And I was really vibing with it, actually. I really liked it. I got a video sent to me from a commenter that came out with their first video, and they have 2 videos on their channel now. They're very, very, very new to the scene. But I seem to have inspired them to make this video, Brigadoon, the anime that changed my life, part 1. And it was from my Otamacha Doremi video that they watched, and they really were inspired to talk about Brigadoon in a similar fashion. And for first analysis video, it's pretty decent. I like the subject, and I like a lot of the personal connection that they had. The channel's name is ThatOneLucarioFan, by the way. LucarioFan really has a great perspective. I like that they gave a lot of background information into kind of what they like. With Yonitani, the director, is one of my personal heroes. He made this, and then he spent half the video talking about Gao Gaigar, actually, which is another series that they really like. Which, like, I would have wished that they talked more about Brigadoon and kind of giving you the idea. They didn't even talk about premise or like what it's about, interestingly enough. And like, I like that. I like that you don't even bother with that, because that's what some of my videos, I feel, try to do. They kind of don't give you that premise type of thing, because that doesn't always interest me. But for this particular one, I actually felt that was a little absent of it. I was like, so what's it about? Not that I'm like, I'm very fickle like that, But yeah, I just thought that like it didn't seem to have much of a plan in terms of like, oh, I'll make the part 1. They didn't seem to have much of a structure, I guess. If you had part 1 focused on like the journey leading up to Brigadoon, I really like the point that LucarioFan makes, where Gao Gaigar had toyed with this idea and a theme of memory being the most important thing and most devastating thing to lose for a child, and his relationship with this robot. And Yonitani is then using that theme as the structure for this entire show, for Brigadoon, as the sole focus, I guess. And I really like that observation, and the focus on Yonitani specifically, and the kind of the background of this show. I think if you went into finding interviews or more production information about this, of kind of how it was constructed and how it came to be, because I think it seems to be an original series, which is really great and interesting. It's also coming in at like the early 2000s. I don't know, never mind. I was gonna make a point about like, because Ava was 95, there's this string of late 90s, early 2000s, specifically mecha series that are original, because they were able to be greenlit because they wanted to kind of cash on in the success of Evangelion. Not to be Evangelion, but, well, some of them, yes, some of them were trying to be Evangelion. Not that that's anything wrong with that. But it that opens the door a lot for original projects like this. But also, Yonitani's kind of in a different, interesting position where he was essentially doing original work with the Brave series and Gao Gaigar, and then Better Man being a spinoff of that. So kind of aping on that. Brigadoon being a build-off point for those series, I think that would have been interesting to focus on for the first part. And then I don't really know what's going to happen for the rest of this. And I'm not sure if Lucario fans writing this on the seat of their pants. There's anything wrong with that. But that's interesting. And it's, brand new. One small thing. This is very minor. That I liked a lot, actually. I saw it at the end. It's like the last shot after they finished talking. Like, yeah, this is my first video kind of deal. Thanks for watching, sort of deal. Like, the last shot is a screenshot of a notepad document with like future video ideas, and it's like a bulleted list of some video ideas that they want to make. And I'm like, that's really smart. Or like, I like that. It kind of gives you like a it gives you kind of something to look forward to, because there's usually, and the thing is, right, a lot of content creators don't want to do this because the pitfall you fall into is you're not as interested in making that video anymore if you promise it and some people really wanted you to make that, and then you just kind of like, that was like a 1 week thing that I was fiercely interested in, and now I got to a dead end, or I'm not as interested, or for whatever reason I'm not making that video. And the thing is, that list, that it's permanent in that video, sort of deal. That is the pitfall you run into with doing that approach. But at the same time, as someone who has a lot of ideas that I want to do, that I love pitching to other people and like promising, I like teasing that sort of content. That was really interesting. I actually really liked it, even though there's a very much of a risk-reward dynamic with that. That was something that I noticed that was interesting. One thing I will say as a point of constructive criticism is there was definitely a section where at first you were showing footage of Brigadoon, and then you talk about Gaigar and this other stuff, and then when you go back to Brigadoon, it's the same footage. It's like the same sequence of footage. And there didn't seem to be as much precise selection of clips, specifically with Brigadoon. I think with Gaigar, you definitely had specific ideas, and I want to show this scene or this episode when I'm talking about this point. That made sense. But there didn't seem to be anything like that for the Brigadoon section, and there was a lot of repeated footage. And you talk about, like, there's 2 scenes where characters try to commit suicide, and I wanted to see, not that nothing dark, but like, I wanted to see it. I wanted to see what you mean, right? I get it, you wanted to know spoilers or whatever, but I mean, you do warn it at the beginning, and you're saying that the scene happens anyway. So it's like, show us. That was what I was feeling, at least. I get there may have been a specific decision not to, I guess. But it made it like, viewing it kind of like, well, why am I watching this? I could just be listening to it, right? Or reading it. Why does it, kind of the why is it a video type of thing. Not that that's super huge or damning criticism or something like that. It's not a big deal. It's just something to make your video better, in my opinion. You want to be choosing clips that are engaging your audience and, showing them something new and something engaging. Not that the Brigadoon isn't engaging. It's like, if you show them the same clips, especially the same sequence, it's like, well, I already saw this. You know what I mean? That would be my only major thing, in terms of the construction, I guess. But yeah, I don't really know where it's going. But that's okay. You don't have to. But I am looking forward to it, and I'm very happy you made this, and I'm grateful that my video gave you the inspiration to do this. I really appreciate that. That's really great. I'm happy that happened, and looking forward to what you make next. It's good stuff. This LucarioFan only has like 7 subscribers right now. Let's get him to like 20 or so or more. I don't know. I have a reach of 1,000 people or more. Like, get some more people in here if it's interesting. They also have a review on their favorite Pokemon movie. I thought that was cute. I didn't see that video though, but I thought that the existence of that video is like, oh, that's cool. Anyway, check it out. I watched another video from the AnimeHERO, Anime Censorship, Legends of the Dark King, Fist of the North Star prequel, and talking about the broadcast version versus the official release, where all the censorship kind of goes away, and talking about kind of the weird nonsense decision-making and he doesn't really give much rationale or explanation because there doesn't seem to be any. It's very inconsistent, especially with Fist of the North Star, where it's like there's a ton, there's a ton that you could censor, but they don't set they censor very specific parts, but not this other stuff that you would think is worse and should be censored. I think he could have gone into maybe like, you think about why Jotaro's censored when he's smoking. It's because you don't want to show characters under a certain age smoking in television. That's just like the television. I don't know. I feel like he could have gone into the actual rationale, maybe why they weren't allowed to show that specific thing, or give a potential reason. He can't find out specifically. It's kind of a whatever show. Not a lot of people know about it, and he was lucky. He was fortunate to even have documentation of this censored footage because somebody uploaded it on YouTube, because it's not available in any legal sense of the word, because why would it be? So that was interesting. He structures it going by episode and going like, there was this scene, this scene, this scene. I don't want to promise any, promise in terms of content, but this is another instance with AnimeHERO doing something before me with like something I had interested in doing, a similar video to this. The last time was with Lupin. He had this Lupin retrospective, and I'm like, yeah, I could do better than that. Didn't like it, that one, very much, but I thought this one was at least very informative and interesting. If I just thought that like going episode by episode, it just seemed very not as like it didn't flow as well. I don't know. It had like just kind of here's the next one, the next one, the next one, just kind of a list of sorts. It didn't feel like it was building upon itself or coming up with a very cohesive idea. Not that that's anything wrong with that, I suppose, but it's like that could make it more engaging, I think. But I do have this sort of idea about particular censorship between versions, but that'll be later if ever. I don't know, maybe. Don't want to promise it, of course, but yeah, I did enjoy this video though. It was interesting. Speaking of interesting, pause and select on his second channel. This is just like a small patron thing that he's doing. For a particular tier on Patreon, his viewers can request him to react to a particular video. And so he has like 5 or 6 reactions in this video, and they'll vary from very short shit post to user submitted entries, like Hazel uploads requests one of her own AMVs for him to react to, and he reacts very warmly and positively to it, which was great to see, as well as more longer videos. In particular, I think the kind of the main attraction of this video for me was his reaction to Philosophy Tube's anime video, which is an April Fool's video, kind of lampooning this sort of deep philosophical analysis of an anime, in particular Tenchi Muyo, and kind of being an asshat about it. I get it's an April Fool's joke, but like, it's like, who are you really trying to lamp? Who do you seriously think talks like this? And Joe really kind of digs into him, while very kind of glazing over the video, because it's such a slog. It really is. The video is not that enjoyable to watch. It's not funny. It really isn't. It's like, where are the jokes in this? Where's the pointed criticism? Where's the parody? That's the thing. It's like, who is he parodying? We actually don't know. It's like, who actually talks like this? And I was thinking about it. Like, Joe mentions that, and like, who is he actually talking about? And I was like, I don't really know. It's because you're like, because anyone who is like, who might be kind of like trying to do something like that, they're not going to be as on the ball of that impression as Philosophy Tube. I really think he's sort of parodying himself, but like with anime, right? It's as if someone of his stature was actually talking about anime sincerely, and what sucks is that like there are actual anime scholars, that the people are actually spending their time writing books and essays and academic theory on anime. It is a legitimate form of media criticism and literature theory. I'm kind of talking out my ass at this point. You know what I mean? So it is very insulting, actually. I get it's a joke, but it's just, yeah. And that was nice of him to see. But there was this other short towards the end. I Can't Breathe, I believe it's called. That was really interesting. There was a little animation, and he kind of does a miniature analysis of it, of his observations of it, that I didn't pick up when watching it with him, which is kind of cool. I actually really like that. So, I mean, this is a kind of a cool new format. I guess it's a monthly thing, I assume, or it might be a weekly thing. I don't know. If it's weekly, hell yeah. But monthly, I do with it too. I just really enjoy this. I wanted to steer your way towards it because I think it's something interesting. And it's like, yeah, Joe does take it originates from the reaction community, from React videos. So he is a seasoned vet with this. He's not just, and whatever. So I really appreciated that, and the authenticity also he demonstrated to the preamble at the beginning, where he's like, this is completely uncut, raw thoughts. I haven't seen his videos. You actually see him react to clicking the video, like pulling the video, like, oh, this person, what upload did they do? And he notices it live that like Hazel gave him her own video, sort of deal. Or philosophy, or that Noshbev recommended his philosophy. He's like, oh no, and that initial reaction is actually really cool. I appreciated that. But yeah, I really liked that video for sure. I'm finally watching another video from Opalescent. She talked about, I watched 31 horror films. And, she has Akira on the cover, but I guess she does talk about Akira. But it's a drop in the bucket with all of the other films that she talks very rapid fire. This video is shy of 12 minutes, and she's talking about 30 films. So, yeah, like there's some that she barely talks about, but I think that's really interesting. It's very shot by shot. I really like the framing at the beginning of this video of, I'm much of a fraidy cat and I do this, and she kind of films herself like running out of her room through the hallway into the next room, sort of deal. That was funny. And she establishes her history with horror films, and she's like, I'm really not much of a horror film buff, but I really want to get over, she wanted to be more cultured and more like, more into it, I guess. So she's like, I'm going to challenge myself and watch all of these films. And she watches a good mix of mainstays, classics, like The Thing and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Saw, and stuff that she hasn't seen. But also some rewatches, and some films that no one's heard of, sort of deal. She's actually very critical of a lot of these films, very harsh with some of them. Some of them she doesn't even like finish. She gets like 15 minutes in and she drops it. It was interesting. I wouldn't have the stones to talk about it, but it's like, well, okay, that's fair. But that was really interesting. I really liked that. I liked the briskness of it, and I like that she challenged herself in that way, that she decided that she's gonna do that. I thought that was good. But I think she has, in terms of like her reviews and stuff, I like the very anecdotal, specific things that she noticed and giving a vibe, and how each time she introduces the film that she's talking about, she shows like the cover as well as her score at the very beginning, not like saving it at the end that most people do. I actually really like that approach, because you get it immediately, and then you can just focus on her impressions, and it's colored by that number. And the number is actually, it's out of 5, but like she interprets it like she gives things like a 3 out of 5, and she's like, it was not good. I was like, damn, that's like a 6 out of 10. That's a positive score. At least that's what I felt. But I'm like, fair. That was interesting. Seeing her describing her scale. She doesn't describe the scale, but using her her recommendations in particular, she was able to color like, yeah, this is like what a 9 is to me. It's like a personal favorite sort of deal. I don't think any of them were rated a 5 out of 5, which was interesting. I would assume like some of the things that you really liked, like Get Out and Train to Busan, like both of them are 4.5 out of 5 and not 5 out of 5. Interesting. I don't know. I'm just, but yeah, small things like that. But yeah, I really liked that. That was cool. Okay, and I'm gonna talk about what I thought were the best videos of the week. The best, just the best. And the first one's from Core. Of course, I'm gonna give Core the best of the week. Let's go, my boy. My boy. The Strange Story of Haruhi Hunting, and this is a different video from him. Different style because he's done a lot of the review type, essay type things, talking concretely, and now he's trying to do something that's more metatextual and a lot more kind of like giving his personal perspective as well as like imagine yourself as a fan in 2014 and this is the stuff that you're going through, and the personal introspection that this has was really interesting. I really liked it. And giving this story about Haruhi Hunting, which was this promotional event where they had to collect 700 individual frames that if you put them together will create 30. I actually did the math. 707 frames, and you hit that by 24 frames per second. That's like 30 seconds. That's like 30 seconds of this like little music video type of thing. And it didn't even look that good, which was unfortunate. I really like that like Core shows it, and then it's not until like 3 or 4 minutes later it's like it didn't even look that good. I was like, oh good, he said it. The minute I saw it I was like, oh, Core probably doesn't think that looks good. He's like, yeah, it looked like shit. And yeah, he's kind of talking about the wallowing of that gut feeling of like hitting that promotional event as a pachinko machine, which happens a lot to the point where it's been very mundane and predictable. But I imagine like he really goes step by step of like, this is how soulless and fucking monotonous it is, and like how awful it is that it's a pachinko machine, and it's kind of the nebulous, soulless, capitalist reasons that this would happen. And it's all kind of then the punchline, the cat's all kind of capstoned at like, God, I've put it behind me. Fuck yeah, I'm not gonna like wish there was another Haruhi, whatever. And new light novel comes out 9 years after. He's like, well, they pulled me back in. Or he's like, yeah, I guess I'm not changing. I thought that was really great. That perspective was really cool. But yeah, I think it was a success as a new venture. Be more describing a personal experience that I think a lot of fans might share, and talking about a more metatextual element of the about anime that like it's not like even about a production thing. It's more of just like a historical lens. You know what it reminded me of it's like a video that, oh shoot, I want to say Blame It on George. Am I right about that? I'm thinking about your video and I'm like, it reminded me of something. Yeah, I think it reminds me of a Blame It on George video, where like his like Gravity Falls video where he describes that last fan event and the history of that and how that progressed. I guess it kind of reminded me of that that sort of historical perspective. But I like a lot of the personability that you brought to it as well, and the humor, of course. Yeah, that was really cool. Really good job. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this Crunchyroll video, The History of Case Closed, Detective Conan, because, I know about Detective Conan, but I think this video does a great job really giving you the proper perspective that, like, no, this is how big of a fucking deal it is. As well as the backstory. I actually really like it's more of a history of Aoyama, the author of Detective Conan, and his history, and, like, he applied for this contest, and then he started with this work, and then this work, and then this work, and that's how it kind of builds up, as well as the historical context of why they started this series was because the magazine wanted him to write something that was a mystery series to capitalize on Kindaichi and some of the other spin-off, or like not rip off, I guess, but like they were it was a wave, it was a trend at the time, like mid to late 90s of like mystery stuff. So he started the series, and it took off, which is fantastic. It doesn't necessarily go into, it does sort of the rest is history sort of deal. It doesn't really explain to you the specific appeals of Conan and why it actually really worked. It's just more like, this is how it started, and it was a hit. It worked. And then they really give you that frame of reference of how big this franchise is, how fucking successful it is. The movie franchise was all new information for me of like, no, it's like the third highest grossing franchise in Japan sort of deal. Oh my gosh, my internet's gonna go out any fucking second. It's raining like Dickens out there. Yeah, the framing of all of it and how monumental of a series it is and how influential it is, as well as like the tourist attraction, like the whole like the town that Aoyama grew up in, and how Conan O'Brien visited it and boosted its popularity even more. It made it seem like it's an establishment that's literally never going to go away. It seems like it. It really seems like it. It's become such a media giant, more so than Doraemon, because Doraemon's not, it's still kind of going on with the movies, but the series is not going on as far as I'm aware. But Conan's, the TV series is still running. The manga's still running. Theme park. How many other franchises have a legit theme, like not a theme park, I guess, but like a complete themed town, like a whole town, like Conan Town. It's like crazy. It's crazy. It really made that impact, and I think it was really successful. I think it's a great distillment of it, and it's trying to give you this is why it's a big deal. It's actually not just like, oh, it happens to be, it got away with getting long running and stuff. It's more like, well, this is a very core part of the medium, I guess. I just thought it was really interesting. I thought they did a really succinct, good job with it. I just really, really liked it. And I guess it's more of because like it tickles that particular this particular itch for me of like really making a comprehensive distillment of an important piece of anime history that I care a lot about. So yeah, it just hits that particular nerve for me that I just happen to favor this kind of video. So yeah, of course, yeah, I really liked it. This is a new channel from a Discord mutual, Mumi, or I think it's Mumi or Mummy. I think it's Mumi. I'd rather call it Mumi. I think it's also because I love the banner, by the way. I don't usually comment on people on channels' aesthetics, but goddamn, I do. Mumi's musings and like really nice banner of like cool, cute dichotomy thing and like showing the taste. It's great. And the first video they have is Perception is Reality in Haruhi Suzumiya, and it's another Haruhi video. I've not seen Haruhi, and I know I just talked about a Haruhi video just before, but like that had less to do with Haruhi as a series and more about a metatextual aspect of it. But this is actually about Haruhi, and in that vein, I've not seen Haruhi, and I've actually seen kind of a number of videos on it, and every time it doesn't really appeal to me. It just makes me not like, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch this. I don't know if I want to watch or enjoy this. But I will say, like, Mumi really has a touch for this. Like, the mic quality is really great and the vocal delivery is really good. It also showing really relevant clips and keeping me engaged the whole time. As well as, like, a script that has, like, a narrative coherent framework, and this, basically the Perception is Reality tagline here is based on this idea that Mumi does for the majority of the video, which is talking in this perspective that Kyon is actually the author or the kind of the as omnipotent of a force as Haruhi. And if you watch the show with that framing, it actually does support it. It actually has a lot of evidence to support that and doesn't necessarily take away from Haruhi being a god as well. It's more like Haruhi's a god in the story and Kyon is the author of the story. So like even further, like another layer on top of it, basically. So they both of them can coexist in a way. And I think that's a really interesting reading, and it made me want to actually check the series out in a way that I hadn't had that perspective before. And I really like the very specific scene by scene analysis and talking very concrete details, and not just kind of in theory land, I guess. with I don't know. There's something with Haruhi that like not a lot of people seem to avoid concrete scenes and details. Like Kyon says this, Haruhi says this, and then this happens. This means this. Like I don't know. Maybe I just haven't seen enough content and enough like analysis content in that way. But that's always what it comes off to me is like no one's really talking about. Everyone's talking about it on a macro level, but no one's really going scene by scene and really proving this sort of crap. And I like that. I like that a lot from Mumi specifically. But yeah, I think it pressed me in a way that yes, it's also a first video. Oh, as well as in terms of a technical aspect, showing a lot of relevant clips. And I liked that there was one part where Kyon like points to the like out the window towards the camera, and that's in the part of the script where Mumi says like, what's the perception that's important is you. It's not is yours. It's and he points to it. I know it's really on the nose, okay, but moments like that as someone who makes these videos, it shows me that they put thought into what they're showing at each particular moment. And there was like, I don't know what to put here, filler footage. You know what I mean? That's what I think a lot of people end up doing. And it shows me that there's a lot of care put into what's being said here. As corny and on the nose as a moment like that is. I like that. But yeah, I was really impressed with this. Again, especially for a first video, I thought this was really great. So glowing praise from me. I hope you continue. The most important thing is I hope you liked making it and enjoyed talking about it and making the video itself. Because it's like, you know, you can find success eventually. Or maybe instantly, you know, just whatever. But like, I think it's more, you know, it's more important that you get good reception and feedback and that you liked making and that you want to make another one. It's something for you to have fun with. And so I hope you know, I think you're making really good stuff already. But you know, you start to challenge yourself or start to make some good stuff. And I really am looking forward to the points you make and the stuff that you make. It's really great, really promising. So again, just started, so check his channel out, please. Then thank you. Thank you for making the video is what I was specifically meaning. Bro, you will never believe who's fucking back. In his prime, dude. Fucking BobSamurai with an initial D review. It's a complete series. It's a spoiler-free review 201. Gosh, he really did stop at 200 for a while, huh? I wonder what the last video, his last review was. It's been a hot minute. He's been mostly just streaming and doing his own thing. And a lot more life advice and stuff. He's an old guy. Like he's, you know, like mid to late 30s at this point, you know? And but you'd never tell. Like it was really interesting about him. But he has this like wisdom to him and not world weariness, I guess. I don't know. There's something to him where it's like it's very adult, I guess. And I miss his prose, like his writing in particular. It was just great. He's such a good writer, dude. He's such a good writer of videos. You can tell he's been doing this for years. And he's still got it. That's the thing. I loved this review of his. And, you know, as someone who's seen Initial D, right? I was surprised he didn't talk too much about the visuals, which, like, I think is a very interesting point of the series where there's a very distinct... I think he does talk about it, but, like, he doesn't have a specific section, I guess. I guess that was, like... It's all very subtextual. I think he talks more about the experience of watching the series and his perspective on it, and then progressively as it goes on from first stage to fourth, fifth, and the last one. So it's like, yeah, and Initial D is a complete series, by the way. It's done. So you can watch all of it. And I like his thoughts on this as someone who's seen it, where, like, really starts off strong with the first three stages, and 2 and 3 kind of really build on the first stage, even though first stage is very self-contained. And I agree. I think you could watch the first stage and that's it. I would say that's it, to be honest. And everything else, like he says, like everything beyond season 3 Third Stage was just a movie, actually. Everything after the movie is kind of just fan service and kind of an extra thing. More races if you really like that sort of car stuff. But they get a lot more technical and they focus on other characters, and his perspectives were great, actually. I really liked it. And I just really miss his prose and his presence in his community a lot. I'm happy he found something that he really wanted to sink his teeth into enough to make a video out of. I really, really liked it. What's also interesting with him, if you're a long time viewer of his, he's very much of an on camera presence for most of his reviews. But this one he had no visual to it. It was just anime footage and his voice, and I didn't even notice until halfway through, and I was like, wow, that's different and interesting. But it's rare. That's the thing. It's kind of rare when the biggest thing I can praise and like I was really engaged with is the actual writing here. Like the way he kind of the way he inserts jokes and levity, and his very world weary kind of perspective, and selling you on it. That's the thing. He was really selling you on it, even though I had already seen it, and I was like, yeah, and he didn't mention Eurobeat once. That's the crazy thing. He's just not trying to buy into this Initial D meme. Like a lot of people kind of know Initial D for certain things or whatever, but like he was really grounded and had someone who had seen all of it, and I believed that. I really was convinced of that, and not just like a surface level fan or like a diehard of it. Someone who's very level-headed in making this review. I fucking love his shit, dude. I do miss him. He's still active. It's not like, he's been so long since the last video or something. It's just been he's been having more fun streaming Dragon Quest and not Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger. Sorry. Didn't mean to accuse you of something. But yeah, no, it's great to see him in this sort of classic form, and that was really refreshing. I really liked that. It was awesome. But it wasn't the best. Like all of them, I thought I liked them kind of equally. But I guess the last video I want to talk about is kind of a punch of sorts. It was kind of like whoa, cool, sort of thing, sort of deal. And it's from this guy DMFND, and it got linked to me in a Discord, and I had not seen this guy before, and his last video was like 2 years ago. He was fairly active around that time, and then he just stopped. I'm not familiar with this guy at all, so this was my first video seeing of his. DMFND, not another Angel's Egg video. Which, like, great title, dude. Oh my gosh. Because it really speaks to that saturation with particularly Angel's Egg, and I thought that was very sharp. And it shows me someone who is, like, kind of, like, aware. They're self-aware, I guess, and they get it. And the thumbnail's really exciting, too. And I think the editing really matches with that. There's this weird... Not vaporwave. I don't go that far, but like, someone who really experiments and plays with a lot of the video effects and makes an aesthetically pleasing kind of video. I really enjoy it. A lot of, and it inserts some meme humor, sort of like Demolition D, and I think his register is also similar. It's like his voice performance is kind of similar in that regard. That's like very Initial D-esque, not Initial D, Demolition D. Yeah, I really liked his vibe with this video and the energy, and I think it's like just super exciting that this guy came back after 2 years out of nowhere. I guess he has a Twitter. I guess I'm just looking at his channel now, but he's very small too, because it's like he was doing his thing and then just kind of dropped off, and I was like, wow. I want to watch more of his videos, but I haven't at the moment. I usually just try to focus on the one videos at this time sort of deal. But that was the biggest surprise and kind of the coolest thing. I like the points that he was making about Angel's Egg, where, I like that it was sort of the embrace of like, yeah, this is just another Angel's Egg video, and he really felt like he doesn't have anything to add. Um, but I like his perspective, and I think like it was less about the content. I think in this video, in terms of like what he was saying, he's not making this profound point about it. It's really about how he says it and the approach. I really like towards the beginning. He's like, he does like we start our shot, and I like that actually the way he actually starts the video is really great. I won't spoil it actually, but he has a little skit, and that was really excellent, really funny, and relatable, very relatable. But then like he starts with like a shot by shot analysis of sorts, and then he fast forwards it, and he's like, "Look, it sounds like every other video, you know." It's true, and I really like that self awareness, and it was refreshing, and I really liked it. I guess, and talking kind of more generally about Angel's Egg and what you can take away from it and stuff like that. It's not trying to be comprehensive or anything, but I guess it's kind of using it as a backdrop to talk about this. I guess the nature of analysis, I suppose, in a way, to be more metatextual, a big brain with it, I guess. But it was a good surprise, and again, like the visuals are constantly engaging. He's cutting away with a lot of. I like the Bill Nye cutaway with the "consider this." That was really great. I was happy you used it like multiple times because it's like repetition is emphasis or something. I don't know. I don't remember I forget what the coin of phrase is. Coin of phrase. That's not even a fucking phrase. I'm loopy. I'm losing it. I should probably end. I'm very happy that got I was in a place that was linked to me, and now I'm linking it to all of you. Go check it out. That was fucking dope. And I think I'll end it there before I lose it even more. Thank you for this. For watching this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you to my patrons, including Beamburst, Hazel, Kuiper, My Anime Pod, Najbeb, Tippy Mango, Unique Namosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. All those guys can request videos to me to review for Digest if you want. As well as other perks and such like. But thank you very much for watching. You have a great week. Yo, peace.